Hello, and how's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here, and today I have some pretty interesting stuff to talk about regarding Starfield, because I believe I found the closest thing that we have to date that gives us any kind of inclination into what we should expect from the main story of Starfield, and that's pretty interesting because nobody knows exactly what to expect from Starfield other than it's going to be a single-player RPG set in like a sci-fi space universe, and it's supposed to be the style of RPG that we would come to expect from Bethesda Game Studios, only no one knows what kind of story we should expect from this game, and I believe I have the closest connection, the best bridge we have between speculation and confirmable information, and today I want to break all of it down in today's video, and this is based off of a discovery by Jenkins that I mentioned in a previous video, to where the 10th Planet actually is a book series, and if you're not familiar with what the 10th Planet is, I'll go ahead and do that TLDR, that old TL doctor, super fast to break it all down for you before I get to the stuff I want to get into in today's video. And if you're familiar with all this, don't worry, I'm going to try to go through it super quick. But basically, the 10th Planet was Bethesda Game Studios' first attempt at making a game like Starfield, only this game was back in the early 90s and it was way ahead of its time. So way ahead of its time that to actually make the game to scale and in the scope that Bethesda wanted to make the 10th Planet, it would have took a bunch of time, first of all, cost a ton of money, and basically would have been borderline impossible and would have essentially bankrupted Bethesda Game Studios just to try to make the game happen. So they left that game behind and they moved on to Morrowind, which was a smart move. However, you can see just how big and ambitious Bethesda Game Studios' minds were when they were trying to make a single-player space sci-fi game like this, and they're trying to do it again with Starfield, because Starfield seems to be kind of what they would have wanted the 10th Planet to be. There's already a lot of like similar artwork and stuff from the 10th Planet's advertisement and marketing artwork to how Starfield's advertising is as well. There's just some similarities even beyond the space and futuristic sci-fi setting, and even though the 10th Planet was cancelled, it actually was carried over to become a book series, and I believe there are 3 books in the 10th Planet book series, and one of the co-authors is Christopher Weaver, founder of Bethesda and someone who has worked on many of the beloved Bethesda franchises, and he was one of the leads of the 10th Planet, the actual game as well, and the book series is a direct connection to the actual game and is essentially the same exact story from what I understand, because I did ask Ted Peterson some stuff about the 10th Planet because he worked on that game as well when I interviewed him, so he gave me some information, and I also did a lot of research and found other articles that broke down the 10th Planet too, and essentially the game was going to somewhat be based on you building up the defenses of the solar system of Earth and trying to solve problems and stuff, I guess do quests and things like that, fly around in your ship and just build up the defenses, try to figure out who this mysterious invading alien force was, what they wanted, and you basically had to defend Earth from them. And the game was very, very in depth in advance for its time. It actually had realistic planetary orbits. The planets would move like in the realistic patterns and speed that they would otherwise in real life, except obviously gamified a bit, and you'd kind of have to plan your flight patterns around the solar system, your defense plans against the alien invasion, and all this stuff based on the actual physics of the solar system, which sounds way ahead of its time, right? It sounds like it's kind of like a BioWare game, kind of like Mass Effect, where you're going around and you're trying to build up a team and get experts and get a defense army ready to hold back this unknown, like, invading alien force, and at the same time trying to solve any of the problems that different factions have so that way they can unite and be more powerful against this invading alien force. It essentially sounds like Mass Effect, only with a different take and a different vibe, and obviously it would be Bethesda Game Studios' own take, and I only say it sounds like Mass Effect not because I think it's going to be very similar to Mass Effect, but just because it's the next closest thing I can grab onto to kind of use as an example to explain the style of what this game is. But for a game in the 90s to be that huge, that's crazy. You can see why it was basically deemed impossible, and I don't see why Bethesda Game Studios would abandon everything that they wanted to do like 20 years ago. Yes, a lot of time has passed, but to be honest, a lot of the same developers are actually still at Bethesda. Not all the same ones that worked at the 10th Planet, but a lot of the same ones. And beyond that, if you were going to make a game like Starfield, why would you just completely ignore any other previous plans, any ideas, any assets you have, whether they be like actual quest design, game mechanic design, story stuff, whatever? Why would you abandon all of it completely and not use any of it in what you want to do now? That would make no sense. So with that in mind, it seems almost positive that certain aspects of the 10th planet will be carried over to Starfield, and it seems like most of what they had about the 10th planet was the setting, story, and game mechanics. So with that in mind, some of the setting, story, and game mechanics will most likely be carried over to Starfield, and that brings us to what I want to talk about today, which is where I want to give you a brief summary of the 10th planet book. I have been reading it, however, I can't actually read to you the book or give you a lot of the information from the book. That would be violating the trademark or the copyright. That's like the same thing like someone showing you a re-upload of a TV show on here. I can't read you someone's book, but I can show you the summary of the book, and I can read you the summary of the first couple pages in the book as well, which you're going to see in today's video. And bear in mind, this should still be considered speculation, but judging by what I said in today's video, I think it's the most obvious and the best credible bridge between speculation and confirmation in what we should expect from that Starfield main story. First of all, my screen's going to be super bright because I got that HDR monitor. It's awesome, but the white screens definitely do burn my eyes. But this is the actual Amazon listing for the 10th Planet book series, and you can see it came out in May of 1999, which is after the game series was canceled, or right around then, so they decided to take all the stuff they had and publish it in the book, probably because the story they felt was that good. And you can see the actual summary of the book series, which is based on the same exact story from the game, is as follows. A science fiction saga set on near-future Earth. The 10th Planet challenges our basic beliefs about the solar system and ultimately our place in the universe, with cutting-edge astronomy, blockbuster action, and high drama. After a deep space satellite mysteriously stops transmitting, the Hubble 3 telescope picks up a startling image. Astronomers don't know what the strange object is, only that it orbits past Earth every 2 millennia. Meanwhile, archaeologist Leo Cross has discovered peculiar layers of black residue at dig sites around the globe, and stranger still, these thin bands occur like clockwork every 2006 years, coinciding with some of the world's darkest moments in history. We have 6 months to prepare for the next arrival. This time we know something is coming, and this time we have weapons to defend us. And the second book's summary continues this story actually by saying, in part 2, the 10th Planet saga, cutting-edge science and high drama combine in an adventure that questions humanity's history, our place in the universe, and our very right to exist. For eons, Earth has been ravaged by so-called natural disasters. Now we know the primary cause, over-harvesting of our limited resources, not by humans, but by the residents of our solar system's 10th planet. Since before the birth of humanity, every 2,000 years, this dark planet has plundered our world, but in 2017, Earth fought back. Now thousands of aliens face starvation, and to survive, they must harvest Earth when their orbit brings them back from beyond the sun. But the humans are not waiting for Earth to become as parched and barren as Mars. Every nuclear weapon has been aimed at the 10th planet, and their ultimate goal is to blow the 10th planet to oblivion. So this is interesting. You can see it kind of plays on some of the ancient history, ancient alien theories about an ancient race of aliens coming from Mars or living on Mars, and there being another mysterious planet in a elliptical orbit with our own that only comes by Earth every so often. Essentially, the story of the 10th planet is that there is a mysterious alien race on a planet that only orbits past Earth and the sun every so often because of its strange orbital pattern, and every time they come by Earth, they harvest the Earth for a bunch of resources because their planet is very barren, probably similar to Mars, and this just kind of goes along with any strange random conspiracy theories or crap like that you might have heard on what the History Channel has oddly become over the years. But this is super interesting because, like I said, this is the closest thing, the closest connection we have between what the main story of Starfield could be, and although this should still be considered speculation, like I said, it would make no sense for Bethesda Game Studios to just completely abandon all their previous writings, all their previous ideas for the 10th planet, and to just not utilize any of it in Starfield. And even though the 10th planet exists now as a book, it was still co-authored by Christopher Weaver, and at the time Christopher Weaver was underneath Bethesda, so theoretically with that in mind, all of that intellectual property besides the book itself is still owned by Bethesda Game Studios, so they could take parts of that story and change it a bit for Starfield, and I kind of have the feeling that's what we're going to see, because even based on the summary of the first 10th Planet book, it said a deep space satellite mysteriously disappeared and stopped transmitting, and Ayla's interested in the story as well. Hello, little girl. But after this mysterious deep space satellite stopped transmitting is basically when everything went down. And as the Starfield 2018 teaser trailer showed us, a strange satellite or space station or telescope or something disappeared as well, and that actual teaser trailer could be showing us the initial starting event of both the 10th planet and Starfield. But that's everything that I think there is to take away from these 10th planet books. It seems like baby Ayla Kitten needs some love, so that's going to finish up today's video. As always, let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the content, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn notifications on. And if you want to help grow the channel and community, be sure to share this video, share the channel, share the content. Since I've been asking you all to share the channel and the content, the channel's been growing a lot faster, so huge thank you, it is much appreciated. And speaking of appreciation, huge shout out to these amazing people for going above and beyond to support the channel and bring you content like this. If you want to get your name added to the next list and get a permanent future video shout out, you can support the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. I had more people support the channel yesterday, so this is the final day I'm allowing before I actually update this list. The list will be updated tomorrow no matter how many more people support it between now and then. So now is a chance to get added to the next list before I update it here in a couple weeks. Links for all this and more are down in the description below, and as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when hopefully you realize by this video that I was fine.
It just works.